The world of rock music stood still when the news broke. Sam Rivers, the founding bassist of Limp Bizkit, had passed away. He was only 48. For many fans, the name Sam Rivers wasn't just another musician. He was the heartbeat of Limp Bizkit's sound, the deep rhythm that gave their songs power and identity. When the announcement came, messages flooded social media. Tributes poured in from fans, fellow musicians, and longtime collaborators. But it was the funeral that truly showed what Sam meant to the people who knew him best. The funeral was held in a quiet, private chapel. It was not a glamorous or oversized event. Instead, it was modest, simple, honest, and deeply emotional. Inside, a large framed photo of Sam Rivers stood beside his casket. There were flowers, but not too many. The family had requested that the focus stay on memories and not on decoration. Everyone who entered the room carried the same heavy silence, the kind that only comes when you lose someone who made a difference. Fred Durst, the frontman of Limp Bizkit and Sam's longtime friend, arrived early with the rest of the band. Wes Borland, DJ Lethal, and other members of their circle quietly took their seats near the front. There was no press coverage, no reporters, no fanfare, only the people who had shared real moments with Sam. The air felt thick with emotion. Some were crying softly, others sat quietly, hands folded, lost in their own thoughts. As the ceremony began, a video slideshow appeared on a screen at the front of the chapel. It showed clips from the early days of Limp Bizkit, rehearsals, live shows, studio sessions, and moments backstage. There were clips of Sam laughing, joking with his bandmates, and jamming with pure passion. His smile was contagious. The audience could feel both joy and pain as the memories rolled by. It was a reminder of everything Sam had given to music, and to his friends. When the video ended, the first speaker approached the podium. It was a close friend who had worked with the band for years. His words were simple, but full of truth. Sam brought something special to every song, he said. He wasn't just playing bass. He was setting the tone for everything we did. You could feel it in your chest when he played. He didn't need to stand in the spotlight. He let the music speak for him. The crowd nodded quietly. Every word felt real. Then came the most emotional part of the day, Fred Durst's tribute. He stood up slowly, walked to the podium, and took a deep breath. His voice trembled slightly as he began to speak. Sam Rivers, legend, truly. You were a gifted, unbelievably sweet, and wonderful person. From the first time I saw you on stage, I knew something was different. You were playing a 5-string bass. I had never seen anyone use one before. You stood out. I heard nothing else but you. Everything else faded because of your gift. The room was completely silent. Fred paused, looking down for a moment before continuing. I told you after that show, hey man, you're unbelievable. I've got this idea for a band I want to do. And you said, killer, I'm in, let's do it. That's how all of this started. His voice cracked slightly as he went on. I've cried gallons and gallons of tears since yesterday. It's tragic you're not here right now. You did it. Sam, you lived it. We rocked stadiums together, showed the world what we could do, and I know wherever you are, you're smiling and saying, man, I did it. Because you did. What you left behind is priceless. Fred Durst's words were direct and raw, not rehearsed, not polished, but full of emotion that came straight from the heart. Everyone could feel how much this loss meant to him. After Fred's tribute, several others stood up to speak. A producer who had worked with the band in their early years described Sam as a rare kind of musician, one who didn't just follow rhythm, but lived inside it. Anything I could throw at him, the producer said, he'd make it better. He could take a rough idea and turn it into something powerful. He never bragged, never showed off. He just did it. That was Sam. A friend from Florida, where Sam had grown up, shared a more personal story. He told the crowd how Sam used to play for local bands long before fame. He never changed, the friend said. Even when Limp Bizkit was on top of the charts, he was still the same humble guy who would hang out and talk about music like it was the first day he picked up a bass. Another person, a younger musician Sam had mentored, spoke through tears. He was the one who taught me that the groove isn't about speed or tricks, it's about feeling. He said, if people can feel what you're playing, you've done your job. That's how he lived. As the tributes continued, the chapel felt heavy with both grief and gratitude. It wasn't only about losing Sam. It was also about celebrating who he had been, a calm soul, a solid friend, and the musical anchor that gave Limp Bizkit its heart. When the final speaker finished, the room fell quiet. Then came the sound of a bass guitar. One of Sam's close friends walked up and played a few slow, powerful notes, a quiet, instrumental tribute. No words, no vocals, just the low, steady rhythm that represented everything Sam stood for. The crowd closed their eyes. Some cried, others simply listened. When the last note faded, no one moved for several seconds. It was the perfect goodbye. After that, the officiant stepped forward and spoke softly to the room. He thanked everyone for coming, then said, "Today we remember not only Sam Rivers the musician, but Sam Rivers the man, the brother, the friend, the son, the inspiration. His music brought joy, his spirit brought calm, and his life taught us that greatness doesn't always need noise. It can be quiet, consistent, and full of heart." His closing words were simple but meaningful. Let his rhythm continue in your lives. When the ceremony ended, people moved into a small reception hall next door. There was no big production, just coffee, sandwiches, and quiet conversation. At one table, Fred Durst sat with Wes Borland and DJ Lethal. They talked in low voices, sometimes laughing through tears as they remembered stories from tours, backstage jokes, and the chaos that had made them family. At another table, fans who had been invited by the family sat together, holding program sheets that had Sam's photo printed on them. Some of them had grown up listening to his music. One fan quietly said, "He was the reason I picked up a bass." Another nodded, replying, "He changed so many lives without even realizing it." Someone eventually played a playlist in the background, songs that highlighted Sam's best bass work. Tracks like Rearranged, Boiler, and Take a Look Around. The sound of his bass filled the room again, and for a few minutes, people smiled instead of crying. It felt like Sam was there in the music, reminding everyone why they loved him. Later, Fred Durst stood up again for a brief, informal toast. He raised a glass of water and said, "To Sam, our brother, our heartbeat. We'll carry your rhythm forward. Wherever this band goes, you'll be with us, always." He paused, looking at the group around him. "Thank you all for being here. Let's celebrate him, not just mourn him." Because he would have hated this room being silent. That line made everyone laugh softly. They knew it was true. Sam had never been one for long silences. He believed music was meant to fill the air. As the afternoon turned to evening, people began leaving the funeral home. The sky was cloudy, the air cool. Outside, a few fans left small items on the steps, guitar picks, handwritten notes, photos, and even a folded set list from a Limp Bizkit concert. One note simply said, "Thank you for the rhythm, Sam." Fred Durst and the rest of the band stood together one last time before getting into their cars. They didn't talk much, but the look on their faces said everything. This wasn't just the end of a friendship, it was the end of a chapter in music history. Inside the now empty chapel, Sam's photo remained near the front. The candles flickered quietly beside it. A single bass guitar leaned against the wall, a silent symbol of the man who had once made it sing. The stillness in the room spoke louder than words. Sam Rivers may have left this world, but his sound would never fade. For Fred Durst and the rest of Limp Bizkit, this moment was both heartbreaking and grounding. In interviews later, Fred said, There's no replacing Sam. There never will be. He was one of a kind. Fans echoed the same feeling online, with thousands of posts sharing clips of Sam's performances and personal memories of how his music had impacted them. It was clear that his influence reached far beyond the stage. As people look back on Sam Rivers' life, they see more than a musician. They see a person who carried himself with grace and humility, even at the height of fame. He never chased headlines. He just wanted to make great music, and he did, for decades. From the band's early days in Jacksonville, Florida, to world tours and chart-topping albums, Sam stayed grounded. He was the quiet force holding everything together, the one who made sure every note had meaning. Fred Durst's words during the funeral summed it up best. He did it. He lived it. Those words weren't just a farewell, they were a truth. Sam Rivers lived for the music and left behind something that will outlast all of us. As the curtain closes on this story, one thing is certain. Sam's rhythm hasn't stopped. It still lives in every song he played, every fan he touched, and every bandmate who stood beside him. He may be gone, but his sound continues to echo, reminding us that real music never dies. Do you think Limp Bizkit will ever sound the same without Sam Rivers? Or is his rhythm something that can never truly be replaced?